Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. New charges laid against Constable Noel Maitland in Donaldson case. Over 6 million stolen from gaming lounge in St. Mary. And later in sports, Netball Jamaica announces squads for upcoming back-to-back tournaments. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. A new charge has been leveled against Constable Noel Maitland, who is charged with the murder of social media influencer Donaldson. Constable Maitland has now been charged with preventing the lawful burial of a corpse. This was revealed in court this morning. The prosecutor is now outlining the new charge. Now, Donnelly's mother, Sophia Love, became emotional while the prosecutor described the relationship Mr. Maitland shared with her daughter. A bail hearing is now underway. Constable Maitland was arrested on July 27 following the disappearance of 24-year-old Donaldson, who was last seen at his New Kingston apartment on July 11. She was reported missing on July 13. Now, he was subsequently charged with murder after investigators reported that they had collected forensic evidence in the apartment pointing to her death. Now, details of the days leading up to Mr. Maitland's arrest were this morning outlined during a bail hearing in the Home Circuit Court. It is still underway. The government is turning to service clubs to help get greater buy-in from residents on a number of efforts. Among the efforts, the National Identification System, NIDS.
After years of challenges, the government plans to roll out the pilot for the National Identification System, NIDS, this year. Speaking at a recent Kiwanis Club meeting in St. James, Minister without Portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister, Floyd Green, again touted the benefits and security of the digital identification system, including replacing multiple forms of identification and facilitating transactions. Mr. Green says the system and implementation is far advanced.
But why I need you as Kiwanians is because we will need messengers. We will need people in the field who are helping to say to Jamaicans, this has taken too long, let us get it done. Because it is a voluntary system, so it will have to take buy-in from our citizens.
But the NIDS is not the only effort he wants the clubs help with. He pointed to road fatalities as a national concern. At the end of August, more than 300 people had died in motor vehicle crashes. Mr. Green indicated that the new Road Traffic Act is a step in the right direction and that enforcement will be the government's next focus.
I do fundamentally believe that cultural change requires an all-hands-on-deck approach. And it's something that we don't speak about enough. And I would love to move it up the Kiwanian agenda so that we are speaking with one voice to say to our citizens that the behavior on the road has to be modified. I want the Kiwanis clubs to work with me through the Office of the Prime Minister and the National Road Safety Council for us to craft a new campaign that we can engage our population and modify their behavior on the roads.
He says the government is also seeking assistance in getting seniors to adjust to the new digital and online modalities, as well as with better parenting. The minister has offered to make himself available to clubs to help educate members, to in turn educate the public. Herman Green, TVJ News.
The St. Mary police are probing a $6 million robbery in Highgate last night. This after thieves stole 9 poker boxes along with other items from the Purple Rock Gaming Lounge. It's understood that the thieves cut to the grills to gain entry to the establishment. This incident is the second in a 1-week span and the third in the last 4 months. Last Thursday, a vault containing an undetermined sum of money was removed from the Western Union outlet on Main Street in Highgate. And in June, a vault containing more than $7 million was stolen from the outlet in Orocabessa. No one has been arrested in connection with either of those incidents. The second man seen on video last week, Monday, trying to remove the lock on the gate to the Bogwalk Gorge has been charged. He is 52-year-old Garth Brown, a driver and mechanic of Crescent District, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. Mr. Brown is charged with conspiracy, malicious destruction of property, and accessory before and after the fact. He is also charged with breaching the ODPEM Act after entering a restricted area. He was offered $100,000 station bail. Mr. Brown is scheduled to appear before the St. Catherine Parish Court on a Thursday. His co-accused 45-year-old Glenmore Denton, an excavator operator of West Prospect in Bogwalk, was charged last Thursday by detectives attached to the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch. The men were caught on surveillance video attempting to remove the padlock to the gate, which was closed after the gorge became flooded during heavy rain associated with what was then Tropical Storm Ian. Police operations are continuing in sections of Garden Parish, St. Anne. The move follows numerous complaints that lawlessness is now rampant, especially within the township of Ocho Rios. The details in this report. Vendors and taxi operators have seemingly overtaken the resort town of Ocho Rios, with pedestrians hardly having any space to put their feet. It has become a nuisance for members of the public and the political directorate in the parish. At a recent meeting of the St. Anne Municipal Corporation, Councillor for the Ocho Rios Division, Michael Belnavis, complained that vendors had taken over Main Street in the township and called for something to be done. Well, those calls seem to have been answered. On Friday, a team from the Jamaica Constabulary Force carried out an operation in the town.
We were able to treat with the main areas in the park, in the town of Ocho Rios, and in doing so, we were able to carry out anti-vending operations along Main Street. We did targeted raids at the stalls in the market. We also carried out operations along the Pineapple Stretch and in the general township.
Head of operations for the parish, Deputy Superintendent Kevin Francis, noted that during the operation, 4 stalls and 2 handcarts were destroyed. He also said 3 dozen coconuts, 18 pounds of yam, and 8 pairs of slippers were seized by his team. In the meantime, DSP Francis says 11 persons were arrested and charged for various offenses.
Whether it is smoking in public, we have persons exposing goods for sale, we have persons for possession, ganja, we have persons for different types of offenses that will treat with the Public Order Act.
Of the 11, 6 were charged for having offensive weapons. A 21-year-old of a Buckfield address was also arrested in relation to a robbery in the area. As rescue crews continue searching for survivors in Florida, the death toll from Hurricane Ian continues to rise. At least 105 people are confirmed dead, and officials fear that number will continue to go up. More from the CNN.
Parts of Florida's southwestern coast are unrecognizable days after Hurricane Ian slammed into a Category 5 storm. Rescue crews have saved thousands of people stranded in their homes, but still, many more need help.
Trying to get that assistance here has not been easy, but I know that I've been in contact with some folks on the East Coast who are sending volunteers over this week to try to assist these folks.
Many major roadways are still flooded. Power and cell service are still down for many, making the rescue efforts even harder.
No phones, nothing.
Tanya Werner has been desperately trying to get a hold of her father, who was taken to the hospital on a ventilator. With their phone lines down, she's had no contact with him or hospital staff.
I don't even know if he's alive.
More than 100 people are confirmed dead in Florida. More than 50 of those deaths are in Lee County alone, where some are now questioning whether evacuation orders were given too late. Officials there defending their decisions.
I am confident in our county manager, our leaders, our governor, all of us in law enforcement, that we got that message out at the right time. Now, whether people listen to it, we can't force people out of their homes, but we can continuously say, look, mandatory evacuation.
And back home, residents of Portmore St. Catherine, as well as police officers, were invited to take part in a divisional skills fair at the 100-man police station on Friday. Codian Barrett reports.
A skills fair hosted by the Heart Trust NSGA in collaboration with the Jamaica Constabulary Force, showcasing over 30 skill sets from cosmetology to hospitality. The aim to attract potential students based on their interest.
We have 10 institutions that are representing over 30 skills right now on the compound. So what is really happening is a skills explosion here in Portmore. So we have partnered with the JCF to ask the youths in the community, including even the police force, whatever skill it is that they are interested in, they can come out, they can see the skills in action and can sign up for whether NVQJ, job qualification or short course in the respective area that they want to be certified in.
The police are hoping the fair will give at-risk youths an opportunity to gain a skill by meeting them halfway.
We reached out to our various communities, especially some of those troubled communities, to encourage our youngsters to come on out and to sign up with Heart Trust, to get themselves busy in a very productive way, getting certified. I mean, I know that Heart Trust certification is recognized across the region, and so it's a wonderful opportunity.
The police were also encouraged to learn additional skills. According to the Deputy Superintendent of Police for the St. Catherine South Division, Paulette Baker, skills such as electrical and welding would benefit the organization.
If we have more of our members having these skills, then it will definitely, assist the police. Most times we have to go on the outside to find persons, external persons, to come to do work like these.
Cody Ann Barrett for TVJ News.
And it's now time for the Business Minute.
In the world of business, the National Fisheries Authority, NFA, will complete the establishment of an offshore radio communication system for fishers and other navigators in Jamaica's waters later this year. Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture, Franklin Witter, says the system is intended to improve communication between fishers, especially on small vessels and the mainland. He added that fishers are aware that cell phones are vulnerable and open to a lot of challenges out at sea, and small vessels need improved communication. The system will allow all fishers from anywhere to contact the relevant authorities in case of an emergency or their fellow colleagues to improve business operations. And in business overseas, the pound has risen to its highest level for 2 weeks after the Chancellor attempted to reassure investors by pledging to bring forward details of how he would cut debt. It rose above $1.14, recovering after Kwasi Kwarteng's plans to fund the tax cuts by extra borrowing worried investors. He will explain how the cuts will be paid for this month, having previously said he would wait until November 23. Fears his plans are unaffordable sparked turmoil on markets last week. That's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
For news on the regional and international scene, here's Sandra Williams.
In regional news, in Belize, Police Commissioner Chester Williams says there are persons hell-bent on terrorizing their communities, and he is not ruling out requesting a state of emergency to deal with the upsurge of murders on the island. The authorities have organized several sporting and other community-building initiatives in response to gang violence. Commissioner Williams added that he would be meeting with the relevant minister to decide what course of action will be taken against those groups causing the flare-ups. On the international scene, for the first time in 5 years, North Korea has fired a ballistic missile directly over Japan, an escalation that's been quickly condemned by both Tokyo and Washington. South Korean officials believe the missile was launched shortly before 7:30 local time Tuesday morning, traveling over Japan's northernmost island of Hokkaido. Residents on the island were warned to take cover, and train services were suspended before the missile crashed into the Pacific Ocean. North Korea has now launched 5 missiles in just the last 10 days and has fired the most in a single year since Kim Jong-un took power in 2012. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And that's the midday news. I'm Shane Masters. Join us at 7 for Prime Time News On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.